Something just changed in the Social Security rulebook, and barely anyone's talking about it. But for millions of widows and widowers, this new law could quietly add thousands of dollars to their benefits. It wipes out two punishing rules that have been draining survivor checks for decades. We're not talking about a minor tweak or a slight adjustment. We're talking about full benefits restored, retroactive payments going back over a year, and a complete shift in how survivor income is calculated. But here's the catch. The Social Security Administration isn't going to automatically fix your check. If you don't know what changed, and more importantly, what to do about it, you could miss out on money that's already yours. In this video, we're breaking down exactly what changed, why it matters, and how to find out if you're one of the people owed more than you ever expected. Let's dive into it. For years, the windfall elimination provision, better known as WEP, quietly slashed Social Security benefits for anyone with a public pension. Teachers, firefighters, postal workers, and other government employees were hit the hardest. WEP was designed decades ago to balance out benefits for those who didn't pay into Social Security through their job. But in practice, it penalized retirees twice, once for serving in public roles, and again by cutting into the very benefits they technically earned. Here's how it worked. If you received a pension from a job that didn't withhold Social Security taxes, the government reduced your benefits from other work where you did contribute. So even if you had two careers, say 20 years teaching and 10 years paying into Social Security, WEP could chop hundreds off your check each month. But now that penalty is gone. As of the 2025 Social Security Fairness Act, WEP has been fully repealed. That means your public pension no longer triggers a reduction in benefits from your other work. This is a massive win for retirees with mixed income histories, especially widows who relied on spousal benefits that were previously reduced by this outdated rule. And the change is permanent. If you're one of the millions who lost out because of WEP, this repeal could finally level the playing field. But that's just one piece of the puzzle. The second major change, the repeal of the government pension offset, or GPO, is just as impactful and possibly even more misunderstood. For decades, GPO reduced or eliminated spousal and survivor benefits for anyone who received a public pension. That meant if your spouse passed away and you were entitled to their Social Security, the amount you received could be slashed by 2/3 of your pension amount. In many cases, that meant widows and widowers received nothing at all. It created a devastating scenario. A surviving spouse who had worked a lifetime in public service, nursing, teaching, city work, suddenly left without the Social Security support they were promised. Even if their partner had paid into the system for decades, the GPO quietly erased that benefit. But not anymore. With the passage of the 2025 Social Security Fairness Act, the GPO is officially gone. That means surviving spouses will now receive the full amount of spousal or survivor benefits they're entitled to, regardless of their public pension. No more harsh offsets, no more confusing formulas, just the benefit your household earned, finally delivered in full. For many, this change alone will result in hundreds more each month. And when combined with the WEP repeal, it's nothing short of a financial lifeline. But the real surprise? It doesn't just apply moving forward, it reaches back in time. Here's where things get really interesting. The repeal of both WEP and GPO isn't just about future benefits, it's retroactive. The law officially went into effect in January 2025, but it applies to benefits that should have been paid as far back as January 2024. That means if you were affected by either of these penalties over the past year, you could be owed a significant lump sum. We're talking thousands of dollars, in some cases, money that should have already been in your pocket. These retroactive payments are already being processed. For many, the extra funds will arrive as backdated checks or direct deposits starting in February and March. It's not a handout. It's a reimbursement for what the government now acknowledges was unfairly withheld. But here's the catch. Not everyone will receive this retro pay automatically. if the Social Security Administration doesn't have updated information about your work history or pension status, you may need to request a formal review. And if you never applied for spousal or survivor benefits before, this is your signal to revisit that conversation. Because the numbers have completely changed. So, if you or someone you know has a mixed work history or was previously denied full benefits, now's the time to act. Because while the past can't be changed, the government is finally willing to pay for it. And that window won't stay open forever. But retro pay is just the start. The real opportunity lies in what the law allows you to do next. One of the most overlooked shifts in this new law is how it changes the timing of when widows and widowers can start collecting benefits and how much they're allowed to switch. Before the repeal, many survivors were locked into reduced payouts because they filed too early or didn't realize they could switch between their own record and their spouse's. The rules were complicated, rigid, and often punished people for decisions they made under outdated systems. Now, the rules are far more flexible. Survivors can collect benefits based on either their own work record or their spouse's, whichever yields the higher amount. And if your spouse had a strong earnings history, that can mean a serious bump in your monthly check. Even better, if you already started collecting under your own record but now realize your survivor benefit is higher, you can switch. That's something many people didn't know was possible before. For example, let's say you're a retired teacher who started collecting reduced Social Security at 62 based on your own limited earnings. Your spouse had a much higher income, but you were disqualified from getting full survivor benefits because of the GPO. Now that it's gone, you can revisit your application and move over to the higher survivor benefit, even if you've been collecting for years. It's a powerful change, and it puts the control back in your hands. But don't assume it will happen automatically, because in most cases, it won't. That brings us to the next critical piece. What most people don't realize is that the Social Security Administration isn't proactively contacting widows who are now eligible for more money. That's right. Despite a law change that could add thousands to your yearly income, you won't get a phone call or a letter in the mail unless you initiate the process. This silence isn't malicious, it's bureaucratic. The SSA simply doesn't have the resources or cross-agency coordination to track down every retiree affected by WEP and GPO repeal. That means the burden falls on you. If you were previously denied benefits, or if your checks were reduced due to your pension, it's now up to you to reopen your case. You'll need to contact the SSA directly, request a benefit review, and possibly submit documentation of your pension and work history. For many people, that sounds daunting, but the potential payoff is well worth it. Think about it. A few phone calls or a quick visit to your local SSA office could uncover missed benefits, higher monthly payouts, and even a retroactive lump sum that helps cover rising living costs. This is especially important for those who didn't even know they were affected in the first place, people who accepted lower checks without realizing they were being shortchanged. And it's not just about the money. It's about claiming what you rightfully earned, because for too long, outdated laws buried those benefits in silence. But now that silence has been broken, and what comes next could change everything. Beyond the immediate financial boost, this law opens the door to smarter retirement planning, especially for those approaching widowhood or already navigating it. One of the biggest new advantages? You can now stagger your benefits more strategically. Before, widows were often forced into difficult choices: claim early and lock in reduced survivor benefits, or delay and risk missing out on needed income. But under the updated rules, survivors can now more easily switch between their own benefit and a spousal benefit, timing each for maximum value. Here's how it works. If your personal benefit is lower than what you'd receive from your late spouse's record, you can start with your survivor benefit and delay your own, allowing it to grow with delayed retirement credits. That means your check could increase by up to 8% per year while you're still receiving monthly income from your spouse's record. It's a powerful tactic that was once complicated by GPO and WEP reductions, but now it's wide open. Even more importantly, this strategy helps protect against rising costs later in life. delayed personal benefits grow larger, providing a stronger safety net in your 70s and beyond when healthcare and housing expenses tend to climb. With the offset rules gone, more widows now have the flexibility to build a financial plan that's not just reactive, but resilient. It's not just about getting more money now, it's about building a future where you're not constantly playing catch-up. And yet, the biggest impact of all may be emotional. For many widows and widowers, the most devastating part of losing a spouse isn't just the emotional toll, it's the silent financial unraveling that follows. Overnight, income drops. Expenses don't. And for years, outdated Social Security laws quietly worsened that gap, stripping survivors of the financial security they thought they had. The repeal of WEP and GPO isn't just a policy shift, it's a long overdue recognition of that pain. Thousands of people, especially women who spent decades working in public service, were punished for not fitting neatly into a system built around a single-earner household. They lost their partners and then lost the income that was supposed to keep them afloat. And until now, no one came to fix it. But this law changes that. It says, "We see you." It restores benefits that should have never been taken away. It brings justice to households that quietly sacrifice for their communities only to be forgotten by the system. And while the government can't undo the stress or hardship that came with years of reduced checks, it can finally start to make it right. This isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about dignity, security, and the chance to live out the next chapter of life with more peace and less fear. Because for the first time in decades, the system finally started listening. If you've ever felt like the system forgot about you, this may be your moment to take back control. The repeal of WEP and GPO isn't just a bureaucratic update, it's a seismic shift that could rewrite your retirement story. For years, millions of survivors were told, that's just the way it works. But not anymore. Now, benefits that were once quietly withheld are being restored. Retroactive payments are hitting bank accounts. Strategies that were off limits are finally back on the table. And the chance to reclaim what's yours is here, but only if you act. Don't assume the government will come knocking. Don't let years of misinformation or silence keep you from the financial security you deserve. If you or someone you care about lost a spouse, worked in public service, or were ever told you didn't qualify for full benefits, it's time to revisit that conversation. Because the rules have changed, and this time, they've changed in your favor. So, before you close this video or move on with your day, take a moment, make the call, schedule the appointment, ask the questions you thought didn't matter. Because the money is real, the law is active, and for the first time in a long time, the odds are finally on your side.